Hello, welcome to our Thursday live stream. Good to see everybody. Who is in the house?
So,
Miss Petrucci.
So we have a couple names. I saw Downsizing Makes Sense. Hey, welcome. Really, really good to see you come in. Travels with Delaney. Hey, welcome. I love seeing all these familiar names. It's really
absolutely.
good.
Very cool.
And then we got Justin and Christina's RV van life.
Very cool.
Bubba Bug, of course. It was like first one in the house, as always.
Bubba Bug,
love it.
very cool.
Downsizing Makes Sense. Geek Family Adventures is here. Really good to see you.
Bubba Bug says, this nomadic idea that kayak camp out with Randy was truly epic. Oh, you have no idea. It was epic for sure. We had a great time, and she did a fantastic job with her video. I mean, I thought it was great. Great editing, good forethought. It was just a great video.
Oh, yeah. She did a great job with the editing, and like you said, with the editing with the video. Yep. Thank you, Randy. It was really, really awesome.
Travels with Delaney. Good evening. How are you? Good video on the cozies, the microwave cozies. Great information, and that plug, the port plug that can measure your tow vehicle, the weight, the tongue weight, which I thought was great. I don't know if my diesel has that port. Diesels are made different, so we'll have to kind of check that out.
Yeah, but you almost sold us on that, especially for the weight distribution.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Hey, Runaway Roses is here. Very cool. Good to see you, Carl and Todd are here. Yay, good to see you guys.
Yeah, it's really good to see you. Do you guys get flooded out today?
Oh yeah, we got so much. Well, I know William from Camper Life, he was out, looked like he was out in Gallenberg. They got a ton of rain. Yeah. He looks like he was stranded there for a minute. We got some areas got 4 to 5 inches of rain between last night and this morning. That was crazy. So hopefully everybody's okay. And good thing we have our kayaks. So because you never really know in Atlanta what's going to happen. So anyway, good to see everybody tonight.
Avenger RV Adventure.
Hey everyone, good to see you guys. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's really good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
So Travels with Delaney said we got 3 inches of snow.
Snow melts. It can become water. It can become a flood.
I almost would have rather taken 3 inches of snow today.
We're getting
than that much water we had.
Snow up in the mountains.
Yeah.
Geek Family Adventures. I cannot talk today. Clearly, it's rainy. Maybe switched to ice or snow in Ohio. Yeah.
Geek Family Adventures is here.
Everything is very wet.
Well, I think the northern part of the country is getting snow, and that cold front's coming in. We're gonna have snow flurries by the morning. Tomorrow morning we're gonna have snow flurries. So it's crazy. I think we're like 65, 70 degrees today. Rain. We have tornadoes out here. It was just a mess. So
hey Larry Grimm, thanks for joining. It's really good to see you in here.
Randy's Adventures. Hey, happy Thursday. Hi y'all. Good to see you, Randy. Very cool. Good to see everybody. Larry Grimm, what's up with you guys? Alice is on DMC. Very cool. So we have so we have a lot. We have a lot to chat about tonight. We have a lot to chat about tonight.
I think our title says it all. This is not a drill.
This is not a drill. So thank you guys for coming in the room. We really super appreciate it. We're gonna announce some big things. We're gonna announce some really cool things. We're going to announce some not really big changes, but some cool changes. And we're pretty excited about it. And we're really mostly excited that we're going to be able to help channels. Now, this is going to blow you away. So you better hold on to something.
Strap it.
Yeah, I was, but I changed my wording at the last minute.
And I went there.
You better hold on to something tight, because we are going to go in a direction that we're going to help channels, but it won't make any difference whether you have 25 subs or 25,000 subs or 250,000 subs. What? I know. I just blew myself away by saying that. But that's what
we're
we're
not
gonna...
holding on to something tight.
I wasn't. I wasn't.
You
I almost fell off
failed.
the chair.
You failed at your own instruction right there.
I know. I'm so bad at this. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So that's going to be really cool change for us, and we're very excited to be announcing that tonight. We're going to still let some people come in. Who is coming in? Downsizing makes sense. As long
Randy's
as you
here.
stay, you guys. Oh yeah, we're not going anywhere. We're staying out here. Randy's Adventure. Hey, Bubba Bug.
Oh, that was nice. As long as you stay, yeah.
Yeah, we're not going anywhere.
We're sticking around. We're stuck.
Nursing our travel bug. Good to see you. A little dusting of snow this morning. It melted by lunch. Melted by lunchtime. Haha. That's pretty much life in Atlanta if we do get snow. However, the one caveat in Atlanta, if we think we're going to get snow, it shuts down now. I mean, we don't actually have to get a dusting. We will shut this city down if someone predicts a dusting. So normally we're all in our house looking outside saying, "Yep, they were wrong again." And everyone misses a day of work. They're all in their house. We're all in there. We've bought the bread and water, and we're waiting, and nothing ever happens. So that's usually your typical life. Or we do get 2 inches of snow, and everyone just leaves their car on the expressway and runs away. So
You're generalizing.
I'm glad your dusting melted by lunchtime. That is very, very, very cool.
Yeah, downsizing makes sense. Says what I mean is stay yourselves. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no,
absolutely. Stay
absolutely.
ourselves.
Yep.
I don't know that we can change who we are.
Oh, being nonconformists, we really don't take instructions very well.
Well, you don't even take your own instruction. So we've got Thirsty Thursday. Hey to you guys.
Yeah, happy Thursday, everybody.
Cheers to you guys for
cheers.
coming in. Thank you for coming
Absolutely. Hope your week is going good. Our week has been pretty stressful. I do have to say. I've been face deep in the laptop really ever since last Thursday show, and we've made a lot of headway in a week. So I started building a new website. I was deep in the technical ends of the internets, and we did some coding and did a lot of things this week, and so which all kind of lead up to the announcement we're gonna make tonight. So it's been kind of a crazy week for sure. So what time is it? 5:08. We're a couple minutes
hey, Steve
earlier.
Turtle.
Steve Turtle's here. Hey, awesome.
I actually really liked the video on dogs that you did.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I thought it was nice to broach a topic with such humor, something that people are very passionate about one way or another. Anyway, I liked it.
Are they passionate about their dogs? Oh my God. Do people get passionate about their dogs?
Ever so slightly. Ever so slightly.
You work with about 800 of them.
Yeah.
People are passionate?
Slightly.
I think
but I like it. So we got Blue Moon and ginger, I think ginger ale. Not ginger ale, but is anyway, people are partaking.
Cool. Blue Moon for us.
Cannot talk.
Fave. Yeah, you're right. You I'm not really sure if that was Carla or Todd speaking, but you know me very well. I love Blue Moon. So that's a great gig. Okay, so you want to get so we're kind of on schedule. It's 5:09 or 8:09. And so we're gonna kind of get into the meat and potatoes of our topic, and let me pull out my notes because I tend to go off track. Okay.
ever so slightly.
Okay, so here's the deal with Ariane and myself in our Thursday live streams. We are going to be here for the rest of your natural born lives. We are not going anywhere. We're keeping our time, and we're going to be here. But we are going to change a couple of things. And one of the things that we're going to change is our format for Thursday. We're not going to be calling it Thursday anymore. One, because well, I don't want to do that. And so we're gonna change a couple of things. So as you guys may or may not know, Ariane and I do a podcast. Some of you know it, some of you don't know it. Randy knows it because Randy went on the kayak trip, because of our podcast and because we met before, but she had signed up through our podcast. Our podcast does really well. It has done much better than we ever thought it would do.
Yeah.
And in January, we took the largest amount of downloads we have ever taken for an outdoor podcast, and it's January. So we're pretty happy about that and really proud of that.
For those that don't know, January seems to be the slowest month.
Yeah.
In the podcast world, and I'm not sure why, or at least the outdoor sector of podcasting.
Yep. So and it's self-sustaining. We have a sponsor, we have other sponsors, we have people that want to sponsor the show. It's doing really well. So keeping that in mind, I thought I would give you a few statistics, and this is all going to lead into something for you guys. So just sit tight for a minute. It's going to lead for you guys. So this is according to Podcast Insights, and these stats are pretty powerful. 50% of all U.S. homes are podcast fans, according to Nielsen. That was back in 2017. 51% of the U.S. population has listened to a podcast. There are over 30 million episodes as of January 2020, last month. Of the 51% of the U.S. population that listens to a podcast, 80% listen to all or most of each episode. So imagine going to your YouTube analytics and saying 80% of everyone who's watched your video, or they've watched your video 80% of the whole length of the video. That's pretty amazing in the podcast world. Podcast listeners are much more active on every social media content or channel. 94% are active at least once versus 81% of the entire population. That's a pretty big statistic also. So this is why we are going to change the Thursday live stream into the This Nomadic Idea podcast. And we will be streaming live from 8:10 to about 8:45, maybe shorter, maybe longer, but pretty much in that realm. And it's going to be our podcast. Our new podcast is called This Nomadic Idea Podcast, where we're going to interview, we're going to talk to people, we're going to have guests on, it's really going to be an interview-based podcast.
Yeah, it's really pulling from the people that have this idea to adjust their lifestyle in either very nomadic way or just a downsizing, living out on the road, just living an alternative style, and which you all recognize and are doing yourself. So I'm really excited about the people aspect of really pulling from their stories. So we're not all alone in this.
No. And that's a really good point, because one of the things that Ariane and I have learned after 3 years of doing our other podcasts is that there's a lot of power in that platform. So what does that mean to you? What does that mean to people that are coming into the stream and seeing us record a podcast? Well, I have an answer. So one of the things that we have incorporated into our podcast is that we are going to do a live Q&A. So that is going to enable you, the person, the chat room, or the channel, and we're going to be multi-streaming this podcast. So it's going to be on Facebook and it's going to be on YouTube at the same time. So we're going to incorporate a live Q&A to the people that are our guests that we are. And so that is going to be your time to shine, to get a Q&A. And our Q&As are always going to be different. They're always going to be at different times. So the key here is that we want you to be in here for the 8 to 9 o'clock hour. Now, again, what does that mean to you? Like, who cares? Okay, so this is where we will be, and this is where our podcast will be. And this is, we already have accounts on all these platforms. I've been here for 3 years. I know some of the tech people, and in the podcast world, it is kind of like who you know, where people can upload your podcast. And so this is where our podcast is going to be. iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Podbean, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Player FM, Overcast, Radio Public, Podcast, Podcast Addict, and about 20 other podcatchers. That is a lot of people and a lot of audience exposure. So the way we are going to do our podcast is for you, the viewer, the YouTube viewer, our friends, and some of you guys we love, man. You guys are great people. We want to extend our hand out to you guys, and the best value that we can come up with, and that what we're going to do is that during our live stream, we are going to announce a Q&A. When you ask a question, your name is going to be put out to Apple Podcast, Radio Public, iHeartRadio. So we're going to announce your channel, who you are, and we're going to say, hey, Larry and Alice from Downsizing Makes Sense, they have a question. And if you haven't checked out their channel, go, and then we are going to push that, your channel. And if you have a Facebook page, we're going to be live on Facebook. So you could say, hey, blah, blah, blah from this business Facebook page has a question. And then we're going to push that out there. So that's the value that we can give to people that come in and watch the podcast and watch the stream. And again, what we're hoping to do is build a community that is going to stay with us from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock that sees the value in that. Now, another thing that we will be doing too is that when we see people in the live stream all the time, and there's already a few people that have been in our live streams before that we reached out to, and they are going to be a guest on our podcast. And that channel is going to be on iHeartRadio, Podbean, Stitcher, Apple Podcast, and all the usual suspects. And so in this case, it doesn't make any difference if your channel has 25 subs, 250 subs, 25,000 subs. It doesn't make any difference. Subs to us don't matter. It makes no difference. There's going to be no popularity contest for the people that come in to our stream and want to talk to us via our podcast. The other beautiful thing about it is that you don't have to scrounge around for bandwidth. I have gear that you can just call my cell phone. We'll hook you up into the system and you're on the podcast. So bandwidth isn't going to be an issue either. This isn't going to be, oh my God, I don't have bandwidth. I can't live stream with you guys.
Yep.
I can just call in.
It's very user-friendly.
Very user-friendly.
Even for me.
Even for you.
Because I cannot do anything technical. I'm working on it. But I need to go back to like grades preschool through 12 just to get like up to date.
Thank you, Avenger RV.
With things.
I
Yes,
appreciate that. Thank you very much. So so that's kind of like the gig. That's what we're going to do. And we feel like it's going to be a real benefit for people that have that seem like maybe your channel's not growing in that particular field, or it's the same people watching the video all the time. And as we were noticing lately, that our average view time has kind of gone down a little bit.
Well, that's a big one.
That's a big one. And the biggest thing is like you can love people to death. I mean, you can be their friends and just think they're the greatest people. But in the end, and like, the love that you give another channel, if you're not watching their video from start to finish, you may end up hurting their channel too sometimes. So we thought this was a really good way to help you and us get out of that little circle and get on different platforms. And
well, the other thing is us alone. I mean, as a channel, I hope as who we are and we provide value. But our channel alone can't provide anything dramatic to another channel.
That's right.
As is.
Right.
And we love a sense of community, and we love the community, and trying to figure out how that community can expand, but also helping our channel at the same time. This seemed like a very logical next step for us.
Yep.
So,
and the cool thing is that for people that come in, and especially the people that we met at the RV Tampa show, Russ and Carrie, Travels with Delaney, Patrick. I mean, we would love to introduce you guys to the podcast world. So people in the podcast world, because I can guarantee you, they don't know who most of you are, because it's a different world. It's a different culture. But I do know this from our podcast, doing this for 3 years now. I do know this, that they will come if you tell them to. So if you ask them, hey, would you go check this out? They will. Podcast listeners are extremely loyal.
Yeah.
Extremely loyal. In fact, they're so loyal, when you meet them, they will tell you what you said 50 episodes ago. They'll say, hey, didn't you say that one on your episode?
Oh,
blah,
they
blah,
call
blah.
you on it. Okay, so
like,
Steve Turtle, first and foremost, there's so much going on in the chat right now, and I'm really trying to multitask, but thank you for that super chat. Beyond appreciated.
Yep. Thank you, Steve. Really appreciate
Thank you so much for that. He said, I think you two are awesome. I'll follow you over the cliff. Please don't, because I'm actually bound to go over a cliff. So it's very likely that you're coming with me. I wouldn't, but I really appreciate that support.
Yeah, you may want to think about that
me.
before you go kayaking with Ariane. So
there's a story behind the story
and a video.
So
Stevie, thank you so much for the super chat, and it kind of brings up another point that we were going to talk about. Was that when we're doing our live stream, we're not going to be able to interact right away until we do the Q&A. However, if anybody super chats during their stream, you actually become a Patreon of that podcast. So at the end of the podcast, your name gets mentioned again.
Yeah.
So if you ask a question, and your question, we put it in queue, we do the live Q&A, and it would be like, hey, Steve Turtle has a question from YouTube. If you haven't checked out Steve's, and then with a super chat, your name gets mentioned again. So this is just a way for you to get your name in your channel or a Facebook page or business out to as many people as we can.
Travels with Delaney.
Oh, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, man.
What was that?
You don't have to do that. You guys are really super people. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you so much. That was really
looking
really
forward
nice.
To the new format of the podcast. I drove 2 hours per day, so I need more podcasts to follow. So
well, you're going to get it, because
thank you.
We're not really sure what day it's going to upload yet. We're still working out those details. It's either going to be I think it's going to be a Monday morning, and our podcasts always come up really early. Like they pop up about 5 a.m. So it'll be early in the morning.
So he's smarter saying, I'm looking forward to it rather than I follow you off the cliff. Wise move there.
Yeah.
But No, seriously, thank you to both of you.
Yeah, that's very,
Beyond
very nice.
appreciative. There were a couple comments that I wanted to get back to. Travels with Delaney earlier than the super chat said, sounds like a really great plan. Hopefully this will help not only you guys, but others. So
Right.
kudos. And then Larry Grimm said, I added Trust the Trail podcast to my Apple podcast. I can't believe you guys have 141 episodes. Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
We recorded 141 episodes on our other podcast. So we've been doing it for a little while. So it's been, we've had a lot to learn, a lot of learning curves along the way.
And Randy says, how refreshing to see a YouTube channel think outside the box and focus on bringing value to listeners. Thank you, Randy. That was very
At Geek Family
nice.
Adventures, you had the Godfather's approval. You had the Godfather's approval. Adventure RV.
Oh, thank you guys so much.
Adventure RV Adventure. I will get this. I swear I will get this. Again, thank you for the super chat.
That's awesome.
Great meeting you in Tampa. Cool. Sorry I didn't get to meet me, but I'm around. Not going anywhere.
Yeah. Ariana's much more fun than I am for sure. So
sorry, Steve Turtle said. True Steve Turtle form. I will follow you off a cliff. Not really.
Yeah, I love it. That's very, very cool.
Thank you to both of you.
That's
Seriously,
awesome.
Thank you to both of you.
So yeah, that's awesome.
And all of you, all three of you. Oh my gosh, this is really,
yeah, it's very, very cool.
Very, very great.
I appreciate that. So that's what we're going to do from now on. So come on by on Thursdays. You are not going to want to miss our first episode because the first episode is it's going to blow you away. Should we tell them who's going to be on our first episode?
Have we even told them the name of the podcast?
Yes, This Nomadic Idea podcast.
Yes, and
there'll always be a link on our website, thisnomadicidea.com, and you'll be able to listen to the podcast on our website, on a podcatcher, on your phone, desktop, makes no difference, but you'll always be able to pull it off the website for sure, thisnomadicidea.com. I've already got everything set up. I've got the link with Apple Podcasts. We're ready to go. And our first episode.
I know, because we kind of got sidetracked.
Our first episode is we already have a sponsor. Yeah. So that's crazy. That's crazy talk. So a friend of mine, Todd Cochran, he's the CEO of Blueberry Podcasting Hosting. It's a hosting service. I talked to him in Atlanta during Dragon Con, and he's going to sponsor the show. And he's in the Podcast Hall of Fame, but we have somebody else who's in the Podcast Hall of Fame. Ariane, do you know anybody else in the Podcast Hall of Fame?
If I said no, I was lying. My younger sister, actually, is in the Podcast Hall of Fame.
Yep. So we're
so I've learned a few things.
Yep. So we've got some good talent behind us to be able to make this work. And that's why we're going to bring you guys along, because we've learned a lot in the 3 years that we've been doing it. So, okay, are we good? Are we almost like ready to go?
Did we even tell them who was on our first episode?
No, not yet. Not yet. I'm waiting for you.
Hanging.
Okay, so the reveal on who's going to be on our first episode. So get your Q&As ready to go. Drum roll. John and Mercedes from the RV Odd Couple will be our first guest on episode 1 on the This Nomadic Idea podcast. Talked to them the other day, and they said yes with no hesitation. So they're going to do the full episode. That will be episode 1 with the RV Odd Couple. We're going to hear their story on how they started, why they started. It's a great story. Some of you that were in Shipshewana, Patrick and Randy, you guys know their story, but they're going to tell the world on iHeartRadio, Podbean, Apple Podcast, and the whole millions of people that listen to those podcasts. So
speaking
very, very happy that they're going to be here.
Hey, you guys, they're in the house.
Are they? RV Odd Couple? Hey.
They say booyah.
Your ears must have been burning.
Booyah.
So they're gonna be here on episode 1. So get your questions ready.
Your questions in the queue.
It's gonna be a fun episode, I'm sure.
And thank you, RV Odd Couple, for coming and
absolutely.
supporting this and supporting supporting it. I cannot wait to get to just yammer away with you.
Yeah, it's hard to have a phone conversation with John without us like bursting out laughing and making jokes of some kind. So it should be a really fun podcast. In episode 2 of our podcast, which we'll do a week later, we are having Alice and Larry from Downsizing Makes Sense, because they're about to go full time and we want to hear their story. So they're going to be on episode 2. So we're really super excited.
Can I get a booyah? I didn't really say it that good. Downsizing Makes Sense. Booyah.
I think you did pretty good.
I do okay.
So we're really super excited to have them on episode 2 to do this. So thank you guys so much. So you guys get a special treat tonight. What
Downsizing Makes Sense, 5 days and counting.
Very cool. Ooh. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's just great. So
all right.
Let me get some comments up here so we can give some people some.
Thanks to Steve Turtle. Everyone's getting the booyahs in.
Hey everyone, and thank you. This Nomadic Idea. We know good people when we meet them. Love you guys. Thank you, John and Mercedes. We feel the same way about you guys. So thank you very much. Steve Turtle gave a booyah, Bubble Bug. They're awesome. This is really cool. Very, 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 very cool. I got thousands trails because of the RV Odd Couple. Well, there you go. Very cool. Yeah. I learned a lot from that video, by the way. Definitely appreciate that video. So, okay. So we are going to, you guys are
privy
in for a treat because we're going to record our intro tonight and we're going to do it. We've got a new intro. We're going to try it out. We're going to see how that works. We're pretty excited about it. It is 8:31. I think we're going to usually intros for a podcast can range anywhere from 15 minutes to 30 minutes. Our podcasts are never going to be over an hour. We think that's a sweet spot for people that are listening to podcasts. They wanted to get the meat and potatoes very early. And so we think the 45 minute gig for podcasts is usually a pretty good spot for us anyway.
So I'm about to go off of the live chat. I've gotten so much better at this whole multitasking.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're doing good.
About to go off the live chat. Stick with it. It's going to be a shortened version for the introduction, and we will be back and chatting with you guys.
Yeah.
Again.
You guys ready? All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
This is not a drill.
Repeat, this is not a drill.
Shall we begin? Let's begin. Shall we begin?
All right. Welcome to this Nomadic Idea podcast. So excited to do our very first podcast and introduce us to you guys. We are going to share and discuss, interview people from all over the world who live a nomadic lifestyle, whether it's full-time RVer, a van lifer, those living in a schoolie, or someone who lives a more minimal lifestyle. This podcast is for you. We share the whys, the how-tos, and answer your questions live with those looking to live this alternative lifestyle. We are Scott and Ariane from This Nomadic Idea, and this is our podcast. So to let some people know a little bit about who we are, this isn't our first rodeo in our podcast.
No.
We've been podcasting for about 3 years. Another podcast called Trust the Trail, which is in the top 100 Apple Podcasts in the outdoor wilderness category with iTunes and Apple Podcasts. And we're very excited to bring you yet another award-winning podcast.
It is award-winning.
Well, our other
Oh,
podcast,
maybe one day it will be.
it might be our other podcast. We've been nominated for People's Choice Podcast Award, blah blah blah. But with this podcast is our other podcast is who we are, but this podcast it really hits home because we do live a minimal life. We are planning to live full time in a 1976 vintage Airstream that took 2 years to renovate. And we have learned a lot about the minimal lifestyle. So my name is Scott.
And I'm Ariane.
And this is This Nomadic Idea Podcast. So about my background, I started
Who is the man behind the award-winning podcast?
well, a dork. And I grew up in Chicago. I probably had 3 and 4 of everything at one time in my life. I really did feel that living the high life in the corporate world and making a lot of money and, wearing the flashy tie. Of course, it was the 80s, so that didn't look really well to a lot of people.
I've seen photos.
And the 90s.
It's rather an embarrassing look on you.
I was one step away from a mullet. So I got through that era, and it wasn't really until my life changed when my mom was sick. She had gotten Parkinson's. I ended up being a caregiver, where it dawned on me that you don't really have you better make some choices in your life. And I did not want 4 couches, 4 TVs. I didn't use anything. I started looking around my life, and I thought, you know what? I'm paying for stuff I never use, never. And so I didn't really see the value in having a lot of stuff anymore. And I started downsizing, and I started, minimizing. And I knew when I through hiked the Appalachian Trail that you can live pretty comfy in a 50-liter backpack and have everything you need. And even though I learned it and I knew it, I still went back to the big stuff after I got off the trail. But it wasn't until my mom passed away when I thought, you know what, I really liked that lifestyle. I liked not having everything, but having everything I need to be happy. And that's when really kind of my nomadic idea was just kind of a thought. It was just kind of maybe a plan later on in my life, maybe someday. And then I met
a poof of an imagination.
And then I met this really sexy girl on the trail, and
yours truly.
Yeah,
I would like to add.
Absolutely. And she kind of had the same kind of idea.
Mine didn't start that way. I really spent a lot of time in the indoors, in the art world. My parents had absolutely no thought of sending me outdoors. I went to the kids camp. I did all the normal stuff, but it really didn't. The outdoors didn't stem for me until around college. Fell in love with somebody, and I was thus showing the outdoors, and it really stirred a lot of interest in that field. From there, I moved onward, and I started doing crazy sport after crazy sport. I did mountain biking, rock climbing, ice climbing. I just went for it. I wanted the craziest sports out there. I tried my hand at a lot of different adventure things, but I came back into backpacking because I had an ACL tear, and I was extremely limited in what I could do for a long period of time. And so walking and trying to strengthen my knee after surgery and after the healing process, it was really the only limits I could manage. And I fell in love with it hardcore. And it was then that I realized.
You saw the sexy guy on the trail.
Nope. Nope, not going to admit to that. It was then that I started realizing that that pairing something that you love, a passion for seeing new things and experiencing things you've never seen, or for that, I mean, my life was spent in travel magazines. I wanted to go everywhere and see everything. And I wanted what everybody else wants, but just doing it on the weekends and just doing it with minimal vacation wasn't enough for me. So I kept trying to pull out every possible hour in my life to experience these things. And when I started backpacking, it connected the dots for me. And hey, wait, I can do this for long periods of time and cover greater distances. And it just, then I met you.
The love of your life.
The frustration and love of my life. And he had similar thoughts, and it just turned into this grandeur idea of maybe living this entire existence of, going to work and having all these things that you never use or never touch, and you collect and you collect and you collect because it makes you happy to collect them. But then there's no reward once you've collected them. And it just, there were so many wheels going in the brain.
Yeah. And I think it's like, I remember, for me when, I had all the stuff and I was doing the work stuff and everything, trying to make money, and money's good, but at some point in time, it's like happiness is more important. And you can have a lot of money, but be pretty unhappy. And I know I would remember, when I was free hiking the trail, I met so many interesting people. And it was the people that I really became fascinated with, and their lives and how they did it and what they thought of that lifestyle. And I always remembered that. I always remembered the characters and the people, and they made me laugh. And we would sit around and have a spontaneous banjo party, outdoors. Or we would, just laugh and have fun. And through traveling across the country, I became more and more attracted to really focusing on the people that live a hard lifestyle, not an easy lifestyle, but a happy lifestyle, a joyous lifestyle, a lifestyle that they, in their heart of hearts and hearts, were really living. And I knew there was a part of me that was living a lie. That, oh yeah, I downsized, but I would still hold on to stuff. Oh, I downsized and told everybody I was living minimal, but I still, I still kept a lot of stuff. And it was usually, like a second TV or a second car or something that I just couldn't let go until, Ariana and I started finally getting serious, and we were looking for the bigger, the bigger lifestyle change that we both knew we wanted, but we were just afraid to take.
Well, I think when you choose a lifestyle like this, it really comes from your core. It comes from like needs that aren't fulfilled in any other way, but to perhaps take that leap. And it's a scary thing. It's becoming more, more, I don't want to say mainstream because it's by far not, but it's becoming more of interest to people that perhaps what they think they couldn't have done can be achieved. And that's exactly what Scott and I are doing. We are partaking in something that bellows from our core, that means something to us, to create a lifestyle that is suited to our way, the desire of how we want to live. We have spent the last few years downsizing everything. And every time we get further and further and further into the process of downsizing or minimizing our life, we look around, where did this stuff come from? Like, we still have so much more stuff to get rid of. And when I look at it, it can probably fit in a closet. Everything that we own can fit in a closet, but yet it still feels like we have too much stuff. And I think that when you surpass a certain moment in your mind, I think you're on the right track to achieving your goals.
Well, and that's the core of this podcast. The podcast really is going to be introducing people that, are thinking about the lifestyle, or maybe have questions about the lifestyle, or maybe know about the lifestyle, that can chime in and say, yeah, I went through this. Hey, I know what you're talking about. Hey, this is how I can help, or this is the value I can give. And that really is the core of our podcast. It's for people that have crossed that line, it's not an idea anymore. They're doing it. They're not planning to doing it. They're living it. It's not a tomorrow plan. It's a today plan. And those are the people that we want to talk to, and we want to get to know, and we want to build a community around. And so when we have our events, and we have meetups, and we have our little caravans that we'll be planning throughout this podcast, those are the people. We expect the schoolie to drive in. We expect the RV to come in. We expect the person who's backpacking across the country to come in. And the nomadic lifestyle gets confused a lot with, this, kind of nonconformist type people. And yes, Ariana and I are nonconformists. We don't like being told to be told what to do.
I despise being told what to do.
But on the other hand, too, is that with technology today, with internet the way it's going, you have more opportunity now to say, the hell with it. I can work from a van or an RV, or I can work mobily. Hell, most people are producing videos while they're hiking the Appalachian Trail. So, that the technology offers people a way to connect, to group together, and to really understand a community much better than before. So we want to hear from those people. That the podcast is really going to be about you, and what your dreams are, what your hopes are, how you're going to achieve it, where you're going to achieve it. And I can't think of anybody that we could have for our first episode than John and Mercedes from the RV Odd Couple. They have a beautiful story. It'll touch your heart. I think that's the story of a lot of us. And the cool thing about those guys is that they, at one point in time, they fixed it, and they made a decision. Sometimes making a decision is the hardest thing. Finally making that decision and not putting it off. I'll make that decision tomorrow. Well, they did it, and we want to hear from them. So they're going to be John and Mercedes from the RV Odd Couple. If you don't know who they are when you're listening to the intro podcast, got to go to their YouTube channel and check them out. You can go to their website and get to know a lot about them, who they are. They're great people. So we cannot wait for them to be on our first episode. Our second episode, just kind of give you farther, is we're going to be talking to a great couple, Downsizing Makes Sense. They're going to be on episode 2 of this podcast. So come along, hang out with us. We're not going anywhere. We're going to be here for the long haul. Yes, we're not one of those podcasters that do 10 episodes and quit. We are going to be here for a long time. And we hope that you guys come along for the ride. I think it's going to be interesting, informative. We're going to give you value, but most of all, we're going to build a community around this podcast.
Right. So I think that, this nomadic idea started as an idea. It started as a lifestyle. It became an idea. And a lot of you out there have similar ideas, or fraction of ideas, or full on living the idea that you created. So I'm very excited to see where this podcast takes us, and it takes each of you, and building a community from here.
Yeah, absolutely. We will be here every week on our live stream, which happens to be on Thursdays on our YouTube channel, This Nomadic Idea, at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you want to come in and join, you get the podcast kind of early, although you get it raw. It won't be edited, but you do get the raw live stream, and you can ask your question to the RV Odd Couple, or Downsizing Makes Sense in episode 2, and you are a part of our community. If you want to ask questions during our Q&A, come by, join in. Otherwise, you can hear this podcast that's going to be available on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Podbean, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Player FM, Overcast, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, and Podcast Addict. Of course, all the usual suspects. Just remember, all great achievements in life started with an idea. So go live your life. We'll see you guys later.
Bye, you guys.
Okay.
Not too bad for.
That's not too bad for the first.
We got some kinks to work out.
Yeah, we got a little kinks, but I think it was okay. We're excited. Thank you. This is a nomadic idea. We'll catch up on the comments. So that's really kind of like how the format's going to go. We are going to stop at some point in time during the podcast. We will stop and say, do we have any Q&As? Ariane or another moderator or somebody else that's going to help produce the show, they'll be queuing up comments. So when we ask that Q&A, be ready, because that is when, we're going to mention your channel. We're going to mention who you are. Remember, you're competing with Facebook. So Facebook is also going to be multi-streaming too. So they're going to be asking questions too.
I gotta get my game on.
Buckle up.
I gotta get my game on. I'm gonna need that schooling real soon. So you guys, we're in this for another 10 minutes. If you guys want to just start asking questions. I saw a lot of comments come through. I couldn't read all of them.
What does Captain Jack say?
Captain Jack.
I saw a big comment from.
There's a lot going on. I'm gonna have to figure out how to do this one.
Oh, let me see. I think I got him. Here it is. I got him. Many of us are baby boomers who worked our asses off for the past 50 years chasing the American dream. Now we realize we missed out on a lot, and we are determined to just do it. I completely agree. I wish I would have done this life 20 years ago.
Oh gosh.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm 55, so I'm right there with you, man.
I think people, the commentary that I'm seeing coming through from the chat is that I think everyone really liked the intro.
Hey, did we get Downsizing Make Sense, by the way? Thank you guys so much for the super chat. If we didn't mention you, thank you so much.
No, we did not.
That was really super nice. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that.
I totally missed that one.
Yeah,
I was so enthralled in my Downsizing Makes Sense.
Thank you. Really. Thank you so much. And of course, next week on episode 1, at the end, we'll have all these. There they are.
Thank you.
We'll go back at the end of the show and we'll mention all those channels as patrons of the show. So really super appreciate that.
We totally missed that.
I'm not drinking, not really. Steve.
Also in the 55 club, Larry says.
Awesome.
You guys have a big heart, James said. And James, I think you've left now, but good night and thank you so much for joining us. I think more than anything, something that Scott and I are deeply passionate about are the people in our lives that make up not just a community, but that become our friends and intermingle into our lives. And I've heard out there that a big fear of people when they first start, choosing a lifestyle that's not rooted at a home base is that there's a fear of not being able to meet people or not having connection with people along the route. Yep. And I've heard that endlessly, but then I've also heard the other argument saying that now they have more friends and they've met a bigger community, because I do think communities are very close knit in the fact that they're so supportive because everybody has been at that idea stage at one point or another, which is where we're at, where a lot of you started, where a lot of you may be at. you know, and we've lived our idea of backpacking and traveling, but now we have an idea to take it a step further. So I got off on a tangent in true form.
James, you guys have a big heart. Thank you, James. Really appreciate that.
But
Nice.
it's
really
it's
nice.
the people and the process of I mean, because you have one life to live, right?
Yep.
You
Oh,
might as
yeah,
well
yeah.
make it to the fullest and include
Yep.
those that you're surrounded with. So
Yep. So, but
I can go off on tangents. Oh boy, can I go off.
but
on
we really
tangents.
appreciate everybody coming in tonight. Thank you for coming in to the new format. Thank you for supporting us. Really appreciate everybody that that super chatted. That's really a beautiful thing. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. We cannot wait. We have we cannot wait. We're really super excited about bringing this format and taking some of you on that journey with us, and maybe getting out of the circle a little bit, and pushing guys to iHeartRadio and some of the other big accounts that we've had relationships with for a long time, and we'll help you any way we can. So it's about 5 minutes left. Super appreciate that. We're gonna cut the stream off. Again, if you have a chance to watch the replay, you'll kind of get the gist of everything. We're gonna kind of go through it quick next week on episode 1, but watch the replay to get the gist of how you can be a part of another platform and help your channel out and help get new people and new blood into your YouTube community. So, okay, we're set. Did we do okay? Are we?
I don't know.
Are we okay?
I'm not sure. RV Underway came in, so great joining. A lot of people have come in that I haven't even said hello to, but Scott and I truly appreciate you guys' your time and definitely watch the replay. A lot happened on this Thirsty Thursday episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
But thank you for everyone coming in and spending their time with us. To spend an hour with somebody and connect with them, I think it's pretty cool.
Yep, very cool. All right, you guys.
Yeah.
See you next Thursday. Got some videos coming out this week. A lot about downsizing and a lot about some other videos that we're working on that we're going to have out. So stay tuned, and we will see you guys next week. So anyway, thank you guys. We'll see you later.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.